Down Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevenson Smith Construction slams expectations.
Have you heard about Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center? Located at 7555 Pioneers Boulevard, Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center offers compassionate, patient-focused care and provides outpatient surgery services, making it possible to have non-emergency surgery and return home the same day. Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center specializes in cardiology, vascular radiology, orthopedics, pain management, and much, much more. Give them a call today at 402-261-1085 or online at amimaging.com.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker, who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
All right. 40 minutes ago, I'm sure DP already talked about it a little bit. One-on-one with the DP, with DP, 11 to noon, each day here on the Ticket. Defensive coordinator John Butler. What was the exact wording? I saw parted ways. Are they retaining him on staff some way, shape, or form, like Foley and Satterfield, or is he just completely gone? Or parted ways? Is that what we know for sure right now?
Parted ways.
Does parted ways, like to you, does that mean like gone, or we're going to find another role like previous coaches? What's that mean to you?
To me, it means that they're leaving,
gone.
but you can't rule it out at this point,
okay,
right?
So
because it has happened.
We don't know yet, so we're going to stick with the verbiage that we know. All right, Nebraska football is parted ways with defensive coordinator John Butler. To me, that means he's probably done with Nebraska. All right. In general, I'm getting another text. He was relieved of his coaching duties. Let's be honest, he could also be brought back in another role. I don't think that's likely. I think he's probably just done here at Nebraska. But that is the news that is about 39 minutes, 42 minutes old. It's 12:03 now. I saw it at 11:21. Maybe it broke before that. But John Butler and Nebraska's parted ways with defensive coordinator John Butler. So we all knew changes had to happen. Changes had to be made. Okay, before we dive into this, obviously we've got about 1,004,822 billion things to talk about. Before we dive into that, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Suizo Concrete Construction. Ladies and gentlemen, it's where safety is not just a policy, it's a promise. Suizo is hiring skilled craftsmen, laborers, concrete workers, and steel erectors who value quality work and a team that has your back on and off the job site. Apply today at Suizo.com. 40 years strong in business, Suizo Construction, that's SCHWISOW.com. Also, Hamilton Telecommunications, bringing you the latest in quality technology and communication services since 1901. Learn more about their residential and business services at HamiltonTel.com. That's HamiltonTel.com. So I'm going to assume we've already got some sort of a reaction off the text line to Nebraska parting ways with defensive coordinator John Butler. All right, has anything come in yet that's of note? And if something does at some point, feel free to let me know there, Jake. But what do we got at this point?
Yeah, I'm still looking. There are some things I just got to confirm them outside of the text line. But yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot of different thoughts about it. A lot of people obviously just kind of want to know who would be other coordinators to look out for potentially replacing John Butler. So a couple thoughts there. I'll continue to monitor it and see if we get anything more.
So in our last two games, The black shirts, the ball was ran against them 85 times for 444 yards. And even when it came to defending the pass, I remember after the game, Iowa had 166 pass yards. And immediately I was like, what? That's it? And then I looked at the yards per reception. It was like over 18 yards. And if you look at the last two games combined, it's 17.3 yards per reception versus Iowa versus Penn State the past couple of games. So my initial reaction, I was surprised. This was, do you remember when he was hired? I remember when he was hired, like, pretty much everybody questioned it. I'm not questioning the guy's resume, but everybody was like, really? There's not better candidates out there. Rule said, this is the guy I want. Do you remember that?
Yeah, maybe the players vouched for him. That was part of it. By the way, I did confirm it was putting out on the text line. Phil Snow will be the interim defensive coordinator for now.
So for the bowl game, basically.
Yeah, which is what John Butler was doing last year as the interim defensive coordinator last year.
Dude, that's a crazy point to make right there. Yeah, he was the interim defensive coordinator before he became the full-time defensive coordinator. Changes had to happen. Matt Rule has shown the propensity to make changes in the past, like bringing in Dana Holgorsen, who wasn't even on staff, to be the offensive coordinator in November. Okay, so he's shown the propensity to do this in the past. New special teams coordinator. He has a long-term personal tie with Ed Foley. Still made the change. And then defensively, obviously, Tony White, Terrence Knighton, they go to Florida State. He hires John Butler, brings in Terry Braden. He's incredibly loyal to coaches. So you knew changes had to happen. You just didn't know what was going to happen. You look around, the defense did not perform well down the stretch. They did not perform well the last two games against two teams who were not going to threaten you vertically, who were not going to threaten you with the pass. You still couldn't stop the run. And we still didn't stop the run. Can you do 444 divided by 85 real quick? I want to get the yards per carry average over the last two games. I watched Rutgers lose by 4 points to Penn State. Rutgers. Was it Dirk? And he can be over the top. I don't want to say over the top. He can be overly critical at times, and that's his right. That's his prerogative. I'm not knocking it. But he's like basically Nebraska's Rutgers with merchandise. There's something like that on X. Did you see that?
I saw that. And by the way, and end zones to match. Now that our end zones look like Rutgers.
Oh, wow. Bad news Bach is back. All right. It's actually a good point. It's a valid point. What's the yards per rush?
5.22.
I'll be honest with you. I thought it was worse than that, but you're giving up every time they run the ball, they get over 5 yards. I mean, just run the ball twice in a row, it's a first down. Now, obviously, that's not how it works, but just mathematically, you have to go to third down 2/3 of the time. So you knew changes had to be made. You immediately look at the defensive coordinator. The defensive line struggled. Do you look at the defensive line coach? The offensive line struggled this year. Do you look at the offensive line coach? The offense, you would look at Holgorsen and you would think that he would be safe. I'm hoping that I want to see a Dana Holgorsen offense look like a Dana Holgorsen offense. And he said coming into the season, it's going to look more NFL style than it's ever looked. Okay. Well, that's kind of how it looked. Now, is that because of the quarterback that we had who's not going to run a ton? So maybe you don't want to do as much spread? Was that dictated to him? He said he chose to learn their lingo and he was free to do what he wanted. Was there a little bit of dictation to it from whether it be Rule or whether it Raiola, or he's just trying to fit Raiola's skill set? I don't know. I don't know that a change at OC needs to be made. Maybe it will. I don't know. I'd be mildly surprised. Just let's alter what we're doing and how we're doing it. Defensively, I didn't know. This was Matt Rule's guy. This was his handpicked guy when there were other options. He's like, no, that's the guy I want. And I'm going to paraphrase. I remember walking in here on a snowy day, well, it was December or January, just like today, and he essentially said he's not going to listen to the outside noise. He's going to pick the guy that he wants, and this was his guy. So do you let go of a guy like that? Obviously, he chose to do so. As I was walking in here, somebody mentioned to me, they just looked at me, didn't say hi, didn't say anything. You don't have to say hi. We see each other all the time. He goes, scapegoat. Just like a question mark, scapegoat question mark. And I don't know. Rule's not going anywhere. I think changes have to be made. I think there's question marks at a lot of spots. I think Eckler is the guy that there's no question mark. For me personally, With Holgorsen, there's no question mark. Let's just figure out what's going to work better schematically. And if it's Holgorsen's choice, my friend, Dana Holgorsen, when you're 80, you'll have forgotten more football than I'll ever know. So you can throw this in the trash if you'd like, my friend. But next year, maybe even starting in the bowl game, I'd like to see schematically something that looks more familiar to what you've ran in the past. That's just my personal preference. But you look around, you look at Donovan. There's got to be like 5 question marks there. You've obviously got the family tie. What's the connection to Dylan? Dayton's already decommitted. How does that all work? This morning, I asked you a question because there was no email from the university about a press conference. The first 2 years that Matt Rule's been here, there's been a Monday press conference after the Iowa game. And I was like, are you sure? There's no. You're like, no. There's no, none that we're aware of. I was like, do you remember me? I was like, that's weird in the text.
Yeah.
And then we find out this. So I don't know what that means. Pretty much every moment of every day now, I'm going to be like, all right, we need a new DC. Is it going to be Phil Snow permanently? Is Jim Leonard hired anywhere, by the way?
I don't think so.
Does he have a job? Like, that is the guy that I really thought highly of last year. Now, the other question is, does Matt Rule want to run the 3-3-5? Does he want to change it? He has made it clear he likes the 3-3-5. He has made that clear.
Jim Leonard is the assistant head coach and defensive pass game coordinator for the Broncos.
Let's be honest, that means nothing in today's day and age. We see head coaches go from job to job, Lane Kiffin. We'll get to you eventually, my friend. By the way, how appealing is the LSU job that they take Notre Dame's head coach a few years ago? Now they take Ole Miss's head coach, 11-1, college football playoff bound, favored to at least win one playoff game, if not more. We don't know the exact matchups yet, but you look at most of the teams they'd be playing, they're going to be favored against most of them. We'll get to Lane Kiffin, don't worry. For me, what I see in this move, because my question wasn't, did changes need to be made? My question was, would changes be made? Would friendship and loyalty get in the way? Would Rule look around and say, hey, we could have all 3 coordinators back next year. We'll be that much better in year 2 versus starting over with a new coordinator at different possible spots? How is he going to look at it? How is he going to evaluate things? My understanding is that, let's be honest, Rule helped more with the defense this year than he did the offense. Was that not your understanding? And Phil Snow?
Yeah.
Okay. We know Rule's not going anywhere because I had a couple of people say, well, the buck stops at the top. Well, that's true, but Rule's not going anywhere. So what else needs to change? What else needs to happen? I guess I was a little bit surprised that this happened with Butler, not because it should or shouldn't happen, but because I had my doubts whether something like this would happen, whether it's Butler, whether it's somewhere else. And now, now we know all bets are off, and we just got to see what happens. As far as prospective defensive coordinators, I mean, I've had what did I say, 42 minutes before we went on air? I mean, Phil Snow is a possibility. Jim Leonard is a possibility. These are guys who are just popping into my head right now. Oh, wow. This isn't bad news, Bach, but this is wow news, Carriker. All right, I just came up with that on the spot. What do you think of that? There is a real chance that Tony White might be available. I mean, I'm staring at you. You gave me no physical reaction. Can you give me a verbal one to just even that realm of possibility?
That would definitely be interesting. Not a bad hire.
Be a great hire. Let's be honest. There's other things that are going to factor into that decision if it becomes available. They have nothing to do with football. You got anything off the text line? And then we got like 6 clips, and I ain't got into any of them. I have this habit of sending you 4,000 clips, and then we typically get through about 3,000. Anyways, anything off the text line? Then let's roll some clips.
But this is 93.7 The Ticket after all, so you have to have the Bill Bush is available on as the defensive coordinator.
I forgot. Yes, how could I forget about Coach Bush? Yes,
absolutely.
All right, front runner. Just saying.
And now again, people are just kind of wondering. Like Gorilla Bear says, is Braden still employed? Is how much of this it does? It's interesting to see who's falling on the sword here.
All we know right now is Butler. Correct. That's all we know. Now, like I said, the gates are wide open. It's wide open, and I said in the show over the weekend, everyone needs to be evaluated. Here's who we know isn't going anywhere. Dan and Rule. Eckler. I'd be skeptical of Holgorsen going anywhere. Personally, I would not advocate for that. I would just advocate what you're doing on offense and looking at that. Everyone else has got to be wide open, in my opinion. It's interesting because what was it, 3 weeks ago? Rule said we have all the right people in this building. You remember that?
Yeah, one of the clips are going to play.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll kind of say, hey, we're heading in the right direction.
So another thing to wonder, 3-3-5. Are we staying 3-3-5? So for years, people would ask me 3-4 or 4-3. Nobody ever even asked me about 3-3-5, 4-2-5. You got to think back. Pelini's like, by the way, this is my 12th year starting today that I've been doing this. 12th year. The 11th year anniversary was yesterday.
Nice.
This is going on year 12.
Yeah, going into year 12.
Going on into year 12. And for the first 5 to 6 years, half dozen years, people would be like 3-4 or 4-3. My answer was always, I don't really care. I've seen them both work. I had someone text me that Rob Dvorak and Addison Williams should have immunity. Addison Williams, I get that. Dvorak? Immunity? Yes? Question mark? No?
I wouldn't say so.
I'm fine with Addison.
And then Addison Williams, I mean, again, how much did John Butler is one of the top secondary coaches in the NFL. How much of that is Addison Williams? How much of it was John Butler?
Should we keep Butler as the secondaries coach? Then what do you do with Williams? Williams was the DC at UCF.
Yeah. That's what they got to evaluate it.
4 former defensive coordinators on this staff. And all we have right now is a gigantic question mark. Well, we have interim Phil Snow. Yeah, interim Phil Snow. Dude, what if we go shut out whoever we play and Phil Snow's named the defensive coordinator next year?
I know some people are just like, what? Now Phil Snow might not want to do it. He kind of wanted to retire already.
Yeah,
he's kind of been dragged back in.
Yeah,
but all the college success that Matt Rule has had at Baylor and before that at Temple was with Phil Snow as his defensive coordinator. It really would not be the worst idea in my mind to go to Phil Snow.
We'll see what happens. We just know he's a little bit older. It would not be a long-term play.
Right.
But if we could have some short-term success in the meantime, I think we'd be okay with that. So anyways, people would ask me 3-4, 4-3. And you know what my response for years would be? And then we hired Tony White, and I had to stop saying this. And I would be like, well, I don't really care. I've seen them both win Super Bowls, national championships, and I've seen them both be awful. Just be good at what you do. I said, as long as it's not a 3-3-5, I don't really care. And then we hired Tony White. And I was like, oh. In fairness, I hadn't watched a lot of 3-3-5, and then I learned more about it. I think it's fair to say that the previous 2 years, we were a top 20 defense in the country under 3-3-5. So I'm going to go back to saying sometimes guys like me need to learn more. And again, sometimes it's not what you're doing, it's how good you're at doing whatever it is that you're doing. If you're going to run, the old Steve Spurrier, Danny Werfel, 4-5 wide, fun and gun, you better be good at it. Nebraska fans are going to point right to the Fiesta Bowl for good reason. But it was beyond just the offensive, hey, Nebraska, power football, option, run it 92,000 times a game. Be really good at what you do, whatever it is. That's the biggest thing. You have to. I think the biggest advantage Iowa has over us right now is they know exactly what the final product is supposed to look like. And if you know what the final product is supposed to look like, it's much easier to develop, to bring in the right guys, mentally, physically. You know the process. You know the guys you're looking for. You bring in the right guys, and then you know the process to get in there. Right now, I don't think we know the end of what we're looking for other than we want to win games. But we don't know what that team's supposed to look like in the process. Are we a pro-style offense? Are we a read option RPO offense? Are we an attack-em defense that stops the run and struggles against the pass last year? Are we a great pass defense that struggles against the run this year? I don't think we have any idea who we are. So how do we know who to bring in other than let's go get talented guys? How do we know how to develop them, which is why we haven't developed them like Iowa has, and then the scoreboard is what it frickin' is. We got to figure out who we want to be, and then the process to getting there will exponentially be clear. Doesn't mean it's easy. I almost used the word easier, but it's at least clear, which will make the process seem easier. You got to actually go do it. All right. Let's get to those clips before we don't get to any of them. So you can just roll these three. So one is, who was Michigan's interim coach when we played him?
Biff Pogge.
One of them, you just play them all in a row, or we can pause real quick, whatever you want to do. It's basically him saying score was tied 17-17 at halftime versus Nebraska, but they were physically whooping our rear end. And here's what's going to happen in the second half, and then we saw what happened in the second half. The other one was Minnesota players basically saying, hey, it's like playing Nebraska is like, this is their words, like playing Oprah. You get a sack, everybody gets a sack. And then the other one was Kirk Ferentz. And in his defense, he's just talking to the team. He didn't know he was being recorded. He's just talking to a team. But basically, he said, we were the tougher team today. It all comes down to who the tougher team is. And all three of these clips, some of our worst losses of the year. Go ahead and roll them however you see fit, Jake.
Clearly the tougher team.
That's Ferentz.
Clearly the tougher team.
One sack after another. And we looked up after the game, and I'm looking at Jackson Howard. I'm looking at Carter Menz. I'm like, you have two. Carter Menz has two. It was crazy. And then you come over to Kingsbury. Kingsbury had 1.5. It's like everybody gets a sack. It's an Oprah Winfrey out here.
At halftime, I called him up before we went on the field, and I told him, I said, I know it's 17-17, but physically we're beating the snot out of them.
So that last one was the Michigan interim coach at halftime, just beating the snot out of us. Not one of them said we're more talented. Not one of them said we have to change what we're doing schematically. Every single one of them came back to we're running right over them, essentially. We're running right over them. We're running right through them. And almost like there's pride in it. There's pride in being the tougher team, but just almost, I don't want to say surprised. The Minnesota guys were surprised. I want our identity to be blue collar, in your face, smash mouth, tough football. Whatever that looks like. I mean, you watch Rule's Baylor teams, they were spread. Now, Temple was more fullback, I formation. Okay. At Baylor, they were spread. But you watch them play, they were physical. They ran the ball, they stopped the run. You can do it out of a spread offense. All right. What are the other three clips I sent you?
We've got Lane Kiffin, Kirby Smart, and Matt Rule.
Oh, let's roll Matt Rule. This was right after the Iowa game, and we'll save the other ones for later. So this was right after the Iowa game. The reason I sent this to you, I was actually surprised how calm he was. It kind of struck me. But go ahead, roll that.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything right now that's other than what I said at the beginning, because I think people have a right to be upset, okay, with how it ended. For me, all I can say is I have some of the best recruits here today. I'm going to continue to work. I'm going to work as hard as I can, as long as I can. I'm going to surround myself with really positive people, not toxic people, and just try to continue to move the program forward. This group of guys is the first team to be bowl eligible 2 years in a row since 2013, 2014. So is it enough? No. But is it better than it was? Yes. So, but if I'm a fan right now, I'm walking away. I'm mad. So I'm walking away mad. I'm not saying I'm walking off the field. Some people are supporters. Like, good for them. Like they're passionate about this place. I love being the head coach of University of Nebraska. I love being in Nebraska because people are passionate about this. So I don't want my message to be anything other than, I don't want it to be hope and all. It's like, yeah, it wasn't good enough, man. But if I start going on the positives, it's like, all right, Matt, but I think today just has to be that. Please don't be like super toxic at the players, because I want them to just put it on me. Like, I'm in charge of this, Troy and them, they extended me, like they believe in what we're doing. And then all of a sudden we come down the stretch, we lose these last two games. I'm pissed off myself. Like, I don't, but I know where we're headed. I know what we're doing. I know where we're moving forward. And so I believe in what we're doing. I believe in the recruits that are bought into us. I believe in the signing class Wednesday. And so I don't want to overreact. These last two games weren't good enough. We'll get a really good bowl game versus a quality team. We'll catch our breath. Well, I hope all those Husker fans just say, you know what, let's go somewhere warm, hopefully, and be in a bowl game. And then let's celebrate signing day on Wednesday. Let's go back and look at the fun moments we had this year. And then, we'll continue to move forward, and we'll continue to build the thing. But I don't want it to be anything else for me other than, like, I understand, and losing these last two games the way we've lost them is not good enough. But that does not minimize the fact that, these kids have worked their tail. I don't say that these kids have worked like the Javens of the world and all those guys. All they dreamt about was going to a bowl game, and now they're going to 2 in a row, and not like a waiver. Like they've earned their way into it. Disappointed with how it ended, but we'll continue to work and figure it out.
I was surprised how calm he was. That had to be a tough moment right after the Iowa game. In an odd way, that may have been one of my favorite press conferences he's had in a long time. There wasn't a whole bunch of, in that moment, how are you going to make any proclamations anyways? It was very calm. It was very direct. It wasn't, me, I've been like, dude, can you stop saying certain things at press conferences? Can you? And I think I genuinely think it's come back to bite him in the butt now. I think there's a certain amount of trust that has been lost based on what's been said versus what we've seen. Is that fair to say, Jake?
Oh, yeah.
I felt like he was calm. I felt like it was a man who understood that there were a lot of holes in the ship, but he didn't feel like it was sinking. Honestly, I feel a little bit better after this move was made today because it shows me that he's shown in the past he's willing to make changes, but I did doubt this year. I had questions this year about how many of the necessary changes would be made. Again, wish John Butler nothing but the best. This has nothing to do with him. I mean, he never had any success here individually. When he was the secondaries coach, they were not good. When he was the defensive coordinator, he's not the defensive coordinator here anymore. His 2 years here were not good. The things he was in charge of, it is what it is. I'm curious to see what else happens, what more is coming down the pike. And like I said over the weekend, it's about evaluations. It can't be about who your friends are, who you've coached with, who's related to who's got power over the university, who doesn't. It's got to be about what's best for the football program. I'm not sitting here all of a sudden saying, oh, wow, I feel great. I'm saying I feel less, terrible is a strong word. There was points where I felt terrible over the weekend. I feel less terrible. Does that make sense?
It can, depending on how you feel about it.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. We got a long way to go. But now we know rules, at least doing a whole lot of evaluations, which is why I believe there was no press conference today. So we'll see what happens. When we come back, we got a whole lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere.
A business's phone is the lifeline to its customers and potential clients. That's why it's so important that you can take calls seamlessly from anywhere, whether you're on the road or in the office. Hamilton Business Technologies can help ensure your phone rings wherever you are. We can equip your headquarters and any of its locations with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we know how to keep Nebraska businesses connected. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Anderson Ford in Lincoln has 2 convenient locations, which means 2 times the customer service, 2 times the inventory, and 2 times the ability to get you in the car of your dreams. Whether you visit us on the north side or the south side, you'll find more selection and a team that's always on your side. When you're looking for a better way to buy your next Ford, visit Anderson Ford in Lincoln, where exceptional service meets unbeatable selection.
Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to The Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Feeling under the weather? Got a minor injury that can't wait? Skip the ER visit and high cost. Choose CHI Health Clinic Priority Care for everything from sniffles and sinus infections to stitches and sprains. Priority Care handles it all at primary care rates, much less than a typical urgent care visit. Priority Care is open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Find relief without breaking the bank. Learn more at chihealth.com/prioritycare.
Staying profitable means finding smarter, more efficient ways to farm. Those decisions turn hard work into something worth passing down. Join us at the Sandhills Global Event Center in Lincoln for the Nebraska Ag Expo on December 9th through 11th, where agriculture meets innovation. From big iron and livestock production to the latest in ag tech and soil health, discover the solutions that can help you do more with less and protect your legacy for generations to come. Sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today, a chance of snow this morning and probably sunny skies this afternoon. We'll see a high around 24. Tonight, decreasing cloud cover and calm winds, a low around 7. And tomorrow, we'll see mainly sunny skies with a light breeze, afternoon high near 34. I'm meteorologist Kyle Fletcher for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rick Heyman here from Starter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Starter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at starterheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Coppell Chevrolet GMC, the #1 fastest growing GMC dealer in the Omaha and Lincoln area. We are going to keep this train rolling in a big way with new half-ton and 4x4 pickup trucks starting at $12,500 off list price or 0% financing. You heard that right, $12,500 off list price or 0% financing. You pick which one works better for you. Please stop on in the dealership and meet the team or check us out at koppelcars.com. Stock number C280930. All deals with approved credit.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends. Hey guys, Nick Stannard here. Join me and Jay Foreman this Friday, December 5th for a special edition of Old School from 3 to 6 p.m. at Liquid Assets Sports Bar and Grill. We're raising awareness and funds for the Nebraska Greats Foundation, and we'll have many former Husker greats in attendance to promote as well. That's Old School this Friday at Liquid Assets Sports Bar and Grill at 27th and Jamie Lane, sponsored by Alpha Wealth Advisors.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. As a former Husker and NFL player, I'm a bit of a health nut. Hydration and recovery, they do start at home. That's why you should team up with Culligan of Lincoln. Soft water means better showers, cleaner dishes, and it protects your water heater and appliances. Their high-efficiency softener cuts salt and water usage. For drinking, add a Culligan reverse osmosis. It's like bottled quality water right at your tap. Great taste and is certified to reduce tough contaminants like lead and PFAs. Right now, get up to $300 off a whole home system or just $9.95 a month for your first 3 months. Schedule your free water test at CulliganHuskers.com. That's CulliganHuskers.com. Culligan of Lincoln, water you love, go Big Red. All right. Anything else off the text line real quick?
Just more people that want more blood. I mean, there's questions about offensive line coaches, strength coaches, linebacker coaches, tight end coaches, more basically everybody.
Well, we have one of the highest paid tight end coaches in America. At one point, I looked it up, and he was the highest paid, but he went from OC to tight end. I have not looked it up. Well, it's not a little over a year ago now. Everyone needs to be evaluated. Everybody. Again, who would you consider unequivocally safe? Eckler. We know Rule's not going anywhere. We know Dan is not going anywhere. Would you consider Holgorsen unequivocally safe? Maybe not unequivocally, like 95% safe or better.
I think he is, but I do think that this is more of Coach Butler falling on the sword. I don't think the offense has been a whole lot better than the defense, and I think if you give the defense Emmett Johnson or an equivalent of Levante David, I think they would probably perform okay or comparatively. So I'm interested in again, Daniel Holgorsen, you said it, I already said it. He knows more about football than I would in 100 lifetimes, but I'm just intrigued by the whole thing. Daniel Holgorsen, I do think is safe. I think there's a respect level from Rule to Holgorsen. Holgorsen kind of came in to help Bell Rule out in the middle of a season, for God's sake. But that side of the ball needs to get significantly better, especially if Emmett's gone. I don't even know. I mean, it would be hard to imagine them scoring over 20 points.
Emmett Johnson, led all Power 4 players in all-purpose yards. Number 2 overall in the country. There was a non-Power 4 player who had slightly more, about 50 yards more. Led the Big Ten in rushing. Touched the ball almost 300 times this year and only fumbled once. I think that might be the most impressive stat of all of his impressive stats. That's insanity right there. Averaged almost 6 yards a rush, 5.8 yards per carry. And also led Nebraska in receptions. I'm going to be honest. That's great for Emmett. That's not good for the offense as a whole. The ball needs to be spread out more. Your running back cannot also be your leading receiver. So we got to get the ball spread out more. That's great for Emmett. Again, not great for the offense as a whole. You start to go through other guys real quick. I feel like Dan is probably going to stay. Eckler's probably going to stay. Obviously, Rule, Dan, and I mean, to go through every single position coach, I mean, we can just go through it real quick. Glenn Thomas. Matt Rule just spoke glowingly of Glenn Thomas. He was an NFL quarterbacks coach for years. What do you think? Odds. We're not talking definitively. Just everyone's up for evaluation, but
yeah, he's at one time been the co-defensive or offensive coordinator too. I don't know if that's still the case, but I mean, I think you'll probably stick with him. I think they need to be careful with this hunt for blood. Right? Is if you preach consistency and continuity, and we're heading the right direction, you can't do fire sale, in my mind. So I think a lot of these guys are almost are safe because of that. Not necessarily because of what they've done.
I don't think you make changes just for the sake of making changes or bloodlust, for lack of a better. I just watched a movie, and like the neighbors, what was it called? The Beast. It was a series, The Beast in Me or something like that. And the neighbor turned out to be like a murderer, but he was suspected the whole movie. By the way, anytime you ever watch a series or a movie and someone's suspected of doing it, let me tell you the end. They did it. Every single time my entire life that's ever been, did they do? They've always done it. There, I just ruined half the movies you're ever going to watch. But he's looking at her. So he's like, you find out in the end, he did it. He killed his previous wife, made her disappear. He looks right at his neighbor, who is an author, going to write a book on him because he was nationally thought to have killed his wife. Then we found out he did it later on. He just kept telling her that it was bloodlust. You want bloodlust in this book, don't you? It sells bloodlust. We can't give in to bloodlust. If guys are not doing a good enough job, hey, you got to do what you got to do. I don't think you just go dropping the axe every which way just for, I don't want to say bloodlust, but just because you're mad right now. Right. That makes sense. So, again, we don't have to go through every single position coach. For me, I look at the defensive side of the ball. Whether we do, do you think Rule stays 3-3-5 or hybrid? So. You don't think so?
I mean, hybrid maybe more. I mean, they ran a lot. The whole conversation does get a little bit silly because I think they had a 4-man front more often than not this year. So, I mean, I would say maybe 4-2-5, but that's probably the similar. So I think there's got to be, packages of running that sort of stuff, regardless of what your base defense is. But I wouldn't have somebody whose defense is not the 3-3-5 run the 3-3-5, which is what they did with John Butler. So
that's a good point.
Hopefully not that.
He was here for a year, though.
Correct.
Wasn't like he'd never been exposed to it.
But that's why I'm frustrated more about the John Butler thing altogether, is that John Butler was brought in as a secondaries coach in the summer when your previous secondary coach had to be let go, right?
Yep.
But somewhat putting pressure on Tony White. Did that cause division within the coaching staff?
I believe so.
Perhaps. And so you chased Tony White out of town with John Butler, gave John Butler Tony White's defense, then got frustrated at the end that John Butler couldn't run Tony White's defense. This is a complete mess. And that's why I agree with you. Maybe they're making the decision to move forward and make the better move forward. But if you look at this backwards, it looks awful.
Dude. Preach, Jake. Preach. I hope everybody caught what you were just putting down. I hope everybody's picking up what you just put down. That was, I hadn't even thought about all that. Because they did bring in Butler late. It did cause division with Tony White. Tony White left, you promote Butler. It doesn't go well, you fire Butler. Oh.
Who was running Tony White's defense. Don't forget that.
If you look at it inversely of how I just described it, which you just did, oh man, that does not look great. What I would like to see, let's talk about this, because we can talk about prospective names of guys they can bring in, which we've kind of done to this point. I'll be honest with you, out of all those names, I get the most excited about Jim Leonard, and I believe he's a 3-4 type guy. Former All-American walk-on to safety at Wisconsin, a guy who understands what it's like to be overlooked, then play at the top level, Then he was the interim coach at Wisconsin before Luke Fickell. He was a defensive coordinator at a very good defense. He's a 3-4 type guy. We can talk about scheme. We can talk about names possibly coming in. We can talk about more guys who may or may not be kept. I think we've covered that enough for today. I'm sure we'll revisit it at some point. I want to talk about what I want the defense to look like. I will say this. I do think all offseason, and we pointed this out before, we said we're inexperienced and we're light in the britches up front. Rule said we're going to be, what do you say, hell on wheels, one of the best defensive lines around. And I remember when I chatted with him one time, he's like, I know we're light up front, but he kind of just brushed it off. Like almost didn't, like, you didn't see this? You didn't see this coming. Like, you bring in Jalen George, who's a guy who is a depth piece, a guy who can eventually contribute down the road possibly. Gabe Moore, talented dude out of Mississippi State, freshman. He's got 3 more years with us. Well, depending on the transfer portal, how that works. But you didn't bring in anybody who in theory could start right away, most likely. Now, anybody could step up and surprise you. But as far as, hey, we brought in Elijah Pritchett and expected him to start right away. Now, whether that went well at the beginning of the year or not, but that was the expectation. You did 0 of that on the D-line. And so to me, I mean, that's got to fall on John Butler, but it's got to fall on Rule as well. All right, I just want to point that out. What I want our defense to look like going forward. I want our defense to be, and I've said it before, old school, blue collar, in your face, smash mouth. What does that mean? It means you don't have an opposing coach in your locker room after the game. He was in tears. The tougher team, the tougher team. It means you don't have an opposing coach after a game where they just ran for a 54-yard touchdown, 73-yard touchdown, 37-yard touchdown, Michigan, talk about how they knew they were pretty much manhandling you. That's not the words he used. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. When you hit somebody in the mouth, Woody Hayes, legendary Ohio State head coach. Somebody just asked me, does Dawson McCullough and Williams Nwaneri count as D-line to you? I don't think Dawson McCullough does. Williams Nwaneri is a bit of a stretch. Yeah. I know he was listed as a D-line.
Well, and he was, but I mean,
240.
Yeah,
I mean, good
pass rusher.
Yeah. A pass rusher is the best way to put it. When I think of D-line, I think of someone you're going to put in 1st and 10 consistently that can rush the passer and stop the run. Not that he can't, but at 240, that's tough to do unless you're a wide 9 and a 4-3. Then that's different. Even then, you're light in the britches. 260 is about what you need to be for that. I want, like Woody Hayes defined toughness as 2 people hitting each other over and over and over and over, and eventually one stops hitting back. And the person who keeps on hitting is the tougher person. Like, I want that to be our team. Yeah, sometimes you're going to get knocked back on a double team. Sometimes they're going to get an 8-9 yard gain on a run. But that's got to be the outlier, not the norm, a.k.a. the term we used a lot this year, leaky defense. I want to be a physical front that when teams watch the film, Penn State's interim head coach told somebody before the game, we're going to run a straight up their A. Like that's, this person texted me, like they're going to run we're going to run straight up their A. Like coaches, I don't have the clip of that, by the way. You probably figured that out. Like what? A third of the teams that we played this year, I know for a fact what they thought of us physically. Because I've either heard it or been told directly by someone who was on the sideline. I want a defense with knock 'em back, with the physicality, with the ability to get off blocks, to be a good tackling defense, to be a fundamentally sound defense. Back to the basics and fundamentals of football on defense. That's all Iowa is. That's all Iowa is. You're not going to knock Iowa back. You're not going to break many tackles. You can hit them for 4 quarters. They'll come back for quarter 5 and keep hitting you in the mouth. That's all they are. That's what I would like our defense to look like. Whether that's a 3-4, whether that's a 4-3, whether that's a 3-3-5, whatever. Personally, I played them both, the 4-3 and the 3-4. The 4-3, you need more impact defensive linemen. You need guys, they're going to play a little bit more with their hair on fire. In the 3-4, your outside backers need to be your better pass rushers. Your defensive linemen need to be bigger, stouter, taking on double teams all day, and then they need to be unselfish. I've done both in the NFL. I know what both of them are like. I'm a little bit more partial to the 3-4, and the only reason I'm a little bit more partial to the 3-4 is because there's so many things you can do out of it. Now, if you want to be more basic and just put your hand in the dirt and go knock somebody back, which is kind of Mike Eckler's approach on special teams, I'm not going to fancy this thing. We're just going to be really good at what we do. And when I coach teams, that's honestly my approach. Just FYI. We will never outcomplicate you, but we will out-fundamental the crap out of you. At least that's my goal. So the argument, if that's your approach, would be the 4-3 because it is simpler. To me, when you get to college, I don't mind complicating it. I don't want to say complicating, but throwing more at the offense, potentially. 3-3-5, it's all about fooling the quarterback and playing downhill with speed with lighter guys. And it's a little bit, it was originally put together by a guy in California who was coaching a team that was outmanned by all their opponents. And he came up with it and had success with it because nobody's ever seen it. It's a unique defense. It has its pluses and its minuses, just like any defense. But he came up with it because they were outmanned. So the 3-3-5 is a good defense, but you kind of run it against teams where you got to trick them, dick them a little bit more, for lack of a better way to put it. And if that's what Rule still wants to do, that's fine. But to your point, bring in a 3-3-5, experienced defensive coordinator to run a 3-3-5 or hybrid defense. Not a guy who was not experienced as a defensive coordinator, one season at Penn State in 2013. And not a guy who wasn't all that experienced in the 3-3-5 or hybrid. He spent 1 year in it as a secondaries coach. So that's what I want our defense to look like. Now, we can go beyond how much do we blitz? How much do we run man? How much do we run zone? Are we a cover 2? Are we Tampa 2? Are we cover 3? Like, what are we? Cover 1, man across the board, always blitzing a guy. Are we a defensive line that stunts? Are we just going to line up and build a wall? Like 3-4 defensive linemen, you're taught to stack and build a wall, take on all the double teams, and the linebackers roam free over the top. They get all the credit, make all the tackles. But that's part of being unselfish. We can get into all that. At the core, we got to be able to knock people back, be physical for 5 quarters out of 4, and we got to be able to fundamentally tackle 9 times out of 10. And whatever you want the X's and O's to look like beyond that, so be it. You got to run what you believe in. But if you're not good at those things, you can put 12 men on the field. Put 12 men on the field, probably be a halfway decent defense. But unless you put 12 men on the field, you're not going to be very good no matter what you're running. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Staying profitable means finding smarter, more efficient ways to farm. Those decisions turn hard work into something worth passing down. Join us at the Sandhills Global Event Center in Lincoln for the Nebraska Ag Expo on December 9th through 11th, where agriculture meets innovation. From big iron and livestock production to the latest in ag tech and soil health, discover the solutions that can help you do more with less and protect your legacy for generations to come. Sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
Schweizo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Schweizo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at schweizo.com. That's schwisow.com.
Is your heating system ready for cooler weather? Call Bryant to schedule your fall heating check. No matter what brand, call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program by building a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Did you know that deer collisions are covered under the comprehensive portion of your car insurance? That means, like with hail damage or vandalism, since they are out of your control, they don't usually raise your insurance rates. And that's a good thing, since most deer don't carry liability insurance. At Eustace Body Shop, we fixed all kinds of animal collision damage, from cows to raccoons, bobcats, and even turkeys. We can't do much for the animal, but we can get your car back on all fours and looking like new again.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you can bring a friend anytime and so much more when you join today. You heard that right. Conquer the stair climber with your partner in climb. Enjoy a post-workout recovery session in the hydro massage and do it all again with access to any of our 2,700 plus convenient locations. So, you coming? Get all the perks with a PF Black Card for $1 down and $24.99 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, December 5th. See Club for details.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. I shout out to our good friends at Mulberry Barbecue. All right. This fine program is brought to you by our good friends at Mulberry Barbecue, who are located at 11th and Cornhusker and 61st and Apples Way, right off of Highway 2 by Lowe's. Both locations are open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Try their burnt-end sandwich, a brisket burrito, barbecue nachos, full slab of ribs, half-smoked chicken, and much more. Plus get incredible sides, easy for me to say. All right, and get fueled for lunch today or make dinner plans at Mulberry Barbecue, located at 11th and Cornhusker and at 61st and Apples Way, just off of Highway 2, by Lowe's. All right, we got two clips. Roll Kirby Smart's clip first. So you'll have to forgive me. I am old school, okay? I'm 41. I'm young. My dad would call me a whippersnapper and wet behind the ears. Snot-nosed kid. He's used those terms. I have, 6 children. I'm 41. But whatever, Dad. Okay. So I grew up in a generation where or at least how I was raised, not generation, I guess, but you don't speak unless spoken to. You walk it off, you rub dirt on it, and you always compete no matter what. So for me, and I don't know if this was the smartest thing ever, there were several times I got up and people were like, how many concussions you've had in your life, Adam? I don't know. None diagnosed, probably, but a lot. I got up and I'd look around, the world didn't seem right several times, but you put your hand in the dirt. Part of it, because that's how I was raised. Part of it, you didn't want to lose your job. Part of it, the movie Concussion hadn't come out and set the world on fire yet. Will Smith had also not slapped Chris Rock. Topic for another day, Jake. But I grew up in this world where you compete each and every day no matter what. You listen to Michael Jordan. He's not a fan of load management. And so that's kind of the world that I tend to see things through. Now, I understand We have indoor plumbing. Bathrooms aren't outside anymore. So the world evolves and gets better over time as well. There's a reason why you don't reinvent the wheel, but today's wheels are much better than they were, when we first had the wheel invented. Things evolve and get better. But when it comes to competing, that doesn't change. It doesn't change. There's an argument to be made that go into a conference championship game does not help you. It might even hurt you. But some people are just born to compete. And I talked at length, it was about 2-3 weeks ago, about Georgia and how much I respect Georgia and how they play. They had a bad year last year. Led the nation in dropped passes. They were in the 90s when it came to running the ball on offense. And you know what they did? They won the SEC championship. When there aren't many teams I watch and I'm like, they win because of culture, because watch how they play. And it comes back to Kirby Smart. And then I hear this clip about Georgia playing the SEC championship game and whether they should or not. Go ahead and roll it. This is Kirby Smart.
If you worry about injury risk, we won't practice next week. So, you live your life scared of injuries, you know what you get? A very scared team. And there's also an opportunity to win an SEC championship. Does that matter? Does anybody care about that anymore? I grew up thinking that was the greatest game in the world. And I just differ from everybody else. Yeah, we lost guys today to injured. We're going to lose guys in practice to injury. But that's next man up. So what's wrong with this whole thing now? It's what if you get hurt? What if you do this? What if you do that? It's football. It's all part of it.
Some people are just born to compete. You know what that actually had me reevaluating? My take on not having a spring game. My take on not playing Tennessee. Now that the SEC has gone to 9 conference games, you have to play 1 power conference team. I'm pretty sure the Big Ten will too, and it's going to be a moot point because it's going to be pretty much mandatory, I assume, in the near future. But you can also look at Kurt Signetti, and they played this high school team, that high school team, and another high school team, and they're non-conference. So if you have successful results, people are going to be like, you're doing it right. You can do the same exact thing, not have successful results. You're like, that was stupid. My point is some people are just born to compete. And that's what I love about Kirby Smart, what I respect about Georgia. Specifically, there aren't many SEC teams that I single out and I'm like, yeah, I'm a fan of them. Georgia's about the only one I've ever done it with. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
There's a reason for it. All right. Lane Kiffin. Go ahead. Just roll the clip. Just go ahead. I don't have to explain Lane Kiffin what's going on. Go ahead.
If Lane Kiffin were to announce tomorrow that he's leaving to go to LSU.
Oh, pause. I should explain this. This was before he announced he was going to LSU. Go ahead.
It would fully expose how just messed up this college football calendar is. Ole Miss is going to the playoff in late December, but LSU's season is over. And they want an answer now because if it's not going to be Lane, they have to find someone else. They can't wait for Lane's season to be over because what if he makes a run? What if he plays until the middle of January for a national championship? He can't wait that long. And here's where it gets really ugly. Say he leaves, right, and the head coach of the playoff team just jump ship before the playoffs. The portal opens soon. All his players that are still going to be in the playoff, a top 10 team in the country, now have to make a decision. Am I going to play in the playoffs or am I going to get out in the portal? Because if they play the season, all these schools will have filled spots. All these other people are already in the portal looking for a new home. They're going to be behind the 8 ball if they don't. So you're putting a kid in a bind, a kid whose head coach just abandoned him before a playoff run and making him decide, am I going to stay with my teammates in this unknown situation and go to the playoffs, or am I going to look out for myself because just like my head coach did, and am I going to jump ship and hit the portal? And if I'm not going with Lane, at least I'm going to be in the mix for all these other teams that are going to be attacking the portal hard when it opens. And what makes the whole portal thing so hard is the second semester starts while the season is still going on. Like the national championship is almost typically when a bunch of schools are having their first week of classes of the second semester. You can't wait and do the portal after the season because classes have started. These kids need to be enrolled. It's not free agency football. These kids are going to school. So it's just all types of messed up. And if Lane jumped ship, it would expose it all. Obviously, it's been exposed before, but it would really, really put it under a microscope.
So obviously we know since that, excuse me, he explained it beautifully. Like I was like, I could explain it, but he did it much better than I could ever do it. There's 2 issues here. Excuse me. Number 1, the way college football is a joke. It's got to be fixed. It's got to be addressed. Number 2, Lane's got to do what he believes is best, but man, everywhere he goes, it's a messy exit. Raiders, USC, Tennessee, even Florida Atlantic wasn't great. Bama got fired. Actually, Florida Atlantic was okay. Bama was where he kind of got, that was messy as an OC leaving. Now Ole Miss. What I'm going to say about Lane, he's got to do what he believes is best. Sometimes, he had a tweet that resurfaced. The grass isn't always greener. This tweet resurfaced, his own tweet, and then he does this. LSU is a top 5 job in America. That's why the head coach of Notre Dame leaves to go there, and Brian Kelly. That's why a guy who just led Ole Miss to their best season ever, 11-1 college football playoff team, left to go there. But here's the deal. Lane Kiffin had built up Ole Miss. He had built up a rapport. He had done something nobody had ever done there. And he goes to LSU. He doesn't win a national title. He might be gone. I'm not saying he made the wrong decision. What I'm saying is he better win. He better win soon. It's kind of like going to Penn State. Penn State's having a hard time finding a coach right now. And James Franklin's stealing all their recruits to Virginia Tech, too. Sometimes the grass is greener. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just need to water where you're at a little bit more. I'm not saying Lane is wrong. He is or he isn't. What I am saying is the situation being what it is, the way college football is redonkulous. It needs to be addressed. It needs to be fixed. And it needs to be now because it's affecting student athletes. Now, Lane, he didn't try to touch the defensive staff. Most people think his brother-in-law is going to be the D coordinator at LSU. But he tried to get his offensive coaches to leave. Why? Because that's what you got to do if you're going to go recruit. Signing day is coming up at LSU. Is that dirty pool? Yeah. Is it also the norm because of the way college football is? Yeah. This guy, I thought, put it perfectly, though. Because Lane seems like he's mad. Like, yeah, it was Ole Miss's choice. They wouldn't let me coach in the bowl game. I couldn't go to the team meeting. You know, I respect their choice. But he's really complaining about it. He wanted to coach at Ole Miss and then also be LSU's coach. It's not going to work. So this guy said it perfectly, and then we'll get out, Jake. I made the difficult decision. This was his comparison, his metaphor. I made the difficult decision to leave my wife, who's been very loyal to me, for a woman she despises. I was hoping to keep living in our house through Christmas and acting like nothing was wrong. My request was denied by my wife, despite the kids wanting me to stay through Christmas. I think that's like the perfect example of Lane wanting to stay at Ole Miss and coach through the college football playoff, but he's going to a bitter rival in LSU. I thought it was perfectly explained right there. I'm wishing him the best. He's highly entertaining. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the snow. Winter appears to be here. Go, Big Red Nose. Remember, go the Bones.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the